And now, please welcome Vice President of Homes and Growth Segments for Booking.com, Eric Bergaglia, in discussion with Skift Head of Research, Seth Borko.
Hello, welcome back. Hope you had a great networking break. We have a wonderful session to kick us off with Eric. Thank you so much for joining us, Eric. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm good.
Good?
Yes.
Yeah,
good.
awesome. Glad to be here. So our session today is going to be about family travel. That's the title of it. Booking.com wants to get into family travel. Before we do that, though, I wanted to ask you a couple big picture questions, if that's okay with you.
Yes, of course.
It kind of was the talk that I was going to begin of. I wanted to ask you about, are consumers tired of short-term rentals? What's your view on that? Are you still seeing consumer interest in the short-term rental sector?
Yes, definitely. I think one example of this from the Booking.com lens is 5-6 years ago, it was about 25% of the total company room nights. In Q1, it's 36%.
36%.
So every quarter, it keeps growing globally, and in every region, it keeps growing as well. So we are seeing more of our Booking.com customers starting to book vacation rentals with us. And that's good. So I think there's a lot of definitely no fatigue.
No fatigue.
Yes.
We're still seeing growth. Everyone in this room is very happy to hear that from a very big player too, right? It's a big stat. And I just, while we're on this big picture topic, and then we're going to jump into family, the blurring of the lines between hotels and the short-term rental sector, this is something that I really respect what Booking.com has done here. You're a real leader in that. So maybe I would love to just get a little more color from you. Is this blurring really happening? And when you put hotels and short-term rentals side by side, what happens?
So yes, the blurring happens. Most of the searches happen without a particularly property type intent, right?
Okay.
At least from what we see. And also if you talk to Google and others, you will see also that people want to go somewhere. The property type intent is not necessarily clear from the get-go. So we have 29 million listings and 7.4 million of those are in the home space. So this is part of the mix, and depending on what people are looking for, you're able to discover more and more of this. And one data point that might be relevant for this, 1 year ago, 1 in 7 customers were searching without a particular property type intent, were booking a home. This year, it's 1 in 3. So from 1 in 7 to 1 in 3. So we're seeing some big growth in terms of people more and more willing to try and book vacation rentals.
So someone who's just kind of randomly, not aimlessly, but scrolling Booking.com, 1 in 7 of them would have done a short-term rental a year ago. Now it's a third.
Yes.
Is that something that you have done? Have you changed your platform, or do you think the consumer has changed?
It's a bit of both, right? I think stating the obvious coming out of the pandemic, booking a home is more top of mind for everyone. It's an option that everyone or more and more people can consider. But also the pandemic was a bit of an important moment for us because before that, homes were important, but not a priority. In 2020, we made it a priority, which means that we changed completely the way we try to grow supply, try to grow demand, make the product evolve. We've heard a lot from partners and travelers as well that our platform was too hotel focused, right? So we've been de-hotelizing the platform so that we can cater to every need in the vacation rental space, and also within that for couples who want to go or families who want to go to a home, etc. So this is improvement innovations on the product side of things, big growth in supply. Last year alone, we added as many listings as Airbnb on the platform, and so we're growing fast and catching up. And this is also translating into the growth and that we're seeing.
Okay, that's amazing. I want to turn to the family travel questions. I'm just going to pause. As I change questions, you all can ask questions too. So just a reminder that we do have audience Q&A. Please submit them, and we'll see. I promised Eric I'll pick some of the toughest ones.
Yeah, the tough one, please.
Yeah,
please.
exactly. Yes. But let's jump into family travel trends. So you say that Booking.com really wants to play in the family market for short-term rentals. So why is that?
So we're actually already playing there, right? So if you look just at Booking.com overall, about a quarter of our business is coming from family travel. And from those family travelers, about half of them are already booking homes with us. So we know that this is something that we see is part of our business. Is it the same numbers that, the same share of our business that what you showed before on the screen? Not yet, but we're working on trying to accelerate that in some key regions in particular. And this will come from growing our supply even more, and growing also, improving even more the product. Yes.
And so is the idea that this is a market, is the idea that this is a fast-growing market that you need to tap into, or is this like an audience that you already have that you want to like better deepen your relationship with?
It's a little bit of both, actually. Yeah. Yes, this is a big untapped opportunity for us just within our customer base right now, and also we see that as a growing trend. I mentioned before that we are now 36% of the room nights of Booking.com come from the home business. Two big things that have been driving the growth. One is in international travel. More international travelers from Booking.com decide to book a home. The second one is families.
Yeah.
So definitely we see a big spike in family travel, and a lot of growth coming from families with one kid, and families traveling with multiple kids or multi-generational travel. So this is also a trend we are seeing, and we're trying to capture.
So I got to ask you this, otherwise our founder will interrupt and ask the question himself. He has a big gripe with family travel. He says that travel companies make family travel like miserable for families. Why do you think that? So why do you think that is? Like, how can?
So if you look at families as one segment, you're wrong, right? Okay. You don't say there's couples and there's families. You have families.
Like we did up on this slide, we're wrong.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No. You're right. No, you're right. There's multiple types.
Yeah. You have families traveling with infants. Yep. You have traveling with young kids and with teenagers. Already there, not at all the same expectations. Yes. And if you add on top of that groups of families traveling together, you have another flavor as well. So all these things are very important. If you try to optimize for families, probably there are things that are common to everyone in terms of problems to solve, pain points from a customer perspective, but then you need to be able to tailor the experience and to the different type of or subcategories of families.
As a tech platform, and also with the Booking.com connected trip initiatives, are you maybe better positioned to kind of connect the dots for an entire family trip than maybe another platform might be?
So yes, in the sense that just an example in flights. Families, 60% of families, based on some research we had recently, book their flights before the accommodation. Yes. So by having flights on Booking.com and also Kayak part of the Booking Holdings group, right? We have a way to already identify what kind of family intent we have and then better serve those needs. We also have the rental cars, business, taxis, all these things. So we can connect all of these points. As a customer, a few years ago, I went to Riga with my family and arrived late, made a booking in a hotel, and I got a free taxi as a Genius customer. Very convenient for a family, right? Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that we can make happen, connecting the dots and making sure that especially around our Genius loyalty program, we can make the family experience better.
You have a lot of insights in this. What do you think that most people in the industry get wrong about family travel and what families want?
You mean misunderstandings? Yeah. The one is the one I mentioned, that there's no one family persona, right? Yeah. Different family personas for sure. Another one is also you will hear a lot like families are budget conscious. Yes, but they're also more interested in value for money. Right? So it doesn't mean that you need to be as cheap as possible to accommodate to capture family travel. You need to make sure that there's clear value for money. So you could actually keep the same ADRs, try to add value adds. We have the value adds product, for example, where we're seeing a lot of homes partners coming and adding a lot of new things that you need to experience and book with the accommodation. So these kind of things, I think it's a misunderstanding that you don't necessarily need to cater to the budget-conscious customers.
Yeah, I remember we did some research once on like spend, and family travelers, they spend less per person, but there's more people in the group. They actually spend quite a lot relative to a couple.
Definitely the highest ADR, yes, and longer lengths of stay. Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of knowing your customer. You're talking about all these personas.
Yes.
The thing is that I could be a family travel, and sometimes I'm traveling with grandma, sometimes I'm traveling with just kids, sometimes I'm traveling with just my couple. Those are all types of family travel, and the same person could do all those different types of family travel, and they all want different things. So how do you at Booking.com know the right customer?
It has to do with the intent model. So we have different machine learning powered intent models that are here to make sure that you identify all the different signs that will show, oh, that person is a couple, that person is a family, or is it a couple, what we call an undercover family? You're a couple, but we think that you're actually looking for a couple plus a young kid. So all these different things we're trying to take into account and influence the search results, the filters, the ranking, the prices, all these things are based on this.
Yeah. Is that possible to do without machine learning? Or we had this data and AI summit yesterday, so I'm in a day.
You can try.
AI mindset.
Yeah, you can try, but definitely that we've seen good growth and increase in conversion coming from trying to personalize more and more the experience. Again, back to the different personas. If you enter that you're traveling with a 2-year-old, right? We have to show slightly different things in terms of facilities, amenities, things that will be guaranteed in terms of sleeping arrangements. That will be completely different than if you are traveling with an 11-year-old. So these things need to be part of the mix, and that's where machine learning AI is here to help.
Forgive me for not knowing this, but is your platform dynamic enough that you will display different features when you detect different profiles?
Yes. So the very entry, the entry of the funnel is where do you want to go, for how long, and who is traveling. So if you enter 2 kids, 1-year-old and 5-year-old, this is information that will influence absolutely everything. So that's why setting the right occupancy based on age, etc. All these things matter because this will influence the ranking again, as I mentioned, what filters we will show or not show, and all these elements.
So let's talk a bit about supply, and that this ties into this conversation because part of having the right personalization is having the right supply. I don't think of Booking.com as having a lot of supply for family STRs. Just a lot of condos, 1-bedrooms is what I think of. Whereas I would think that a whole home is maybe more of what a family traveler would want. One, is that assumption right? And sort of two, is how are you adjusting for that?
It's adding to the list of the misunderstandings.
Sure, let's go. Correct me disabuse me of my misunderstandings, please, Eric.
No. So we've been growing. Maybe it was true 5 years ago.
5 years.
Right, 5 years ago would have been exactly this. Also, earlier on stage, it was mentioned that we're focusing more on property managers.
Yes.
Actually, no, we're focusing on any type of supply that could be relevant for any type of demand we have. So we do have a fair amount of supply with more than 2 bedrooms. And we are actively growing in that space as well. So one example of this is the request to book model. I mentioned that to you.
Yes, we were talking about this backstage. So you implemented request. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. So that's a sign that we're not just focusing on the property professionals, property management companies, right? For us, there's just 3 types of partners. You have the one listing single property owner, 2 to 20 semi-professionals, and the more than 20 professional, right?
Yes.
And we've historically been better, and we're coming from the professional side.
Yes.
So we continue to grow with that, and this is also where there's more of that great supply for the bigger families, etc., to get, and we're getting that. Now, the investment that we've made over the past couple of years is on the semi-professional bucket and the more professionals of the individual hosts. And all of these things has been filling in the growth in supply that I mentioned before. And now the next step is for us to do something that I mentioned to Dennis last year, that we were experimenting with this. Now, everywhere globally, connected or not connected, you can list a request to book property with us, which means that we are now going for this higher quality type of supply that maybe we've been missing until now, because those are bigger properties where you want to have the guarantee that you know who's going to stay.
So basically, these semi-pro and more, advanced, prosumer, I guess, individual hosts, they want that request to book feature. They want to know if it's going to be my home. I want to know who's coming.
Exactly.
And you couldn't get that supply until you
exactly
that
because they're used
out.
to having the request to book model with our competitors. They know that instant book is the one of the key things that customers of Booking.com want, right? But they want to first test the water, try the platform with that. At some point, maybe go back to instant book.
Is that a worse customer experience, though? I don't like request to book. Personally.
I don't like it either. But that's a reassuring thing that I think we need to be able to have, right? There's a reason why half of the supply out there is still on that model. That host, especially the smaller hosts, they want to know who's going to stay. That's a reassurance piece. Being able to get that supply, show them that Booking.com guest is a good guest, and then be able to show them the way to instant book is probably the better way, instead of just saying, no, I'm not going to allow this.
So it feels a little bit like you might be going a little more head-to-head with Airbnb if you're going after some of these semi-pro and mom and pop suppliers.
Yeah, we're going after the supply that makes sense for our travelers. We're not going after every supply, right? So we don't want the unprofessional hosts.
Yes.
Right. You have two types of hosts. You have the ones who actually care about hospitality and the ones who want to be and the just play in that field. The ones who try short-term rentals, they can start with us, and we'll try to help them professionalize quickly. But we're shooting first for the semi-professionals, those that we know perform on other platform already, are looking for the next level of growth. So yes, in a way, we're going after every supply that is relevant, and that supply right now lives with competitors in some cases.
We have a question from the audience. I'm going to modify it a little bit, but is supply overlap a challenge for you? So does it bother you when a supplier lists on multiple platforms? Do you want to have more exclusive inventory or not?
No, we have exclusive supply, but we don't necessarily try to push for this. It's completely fine to have supply on different OTAs, and we need to make sure that the experience is better. I mentioned to you before, I worked for Amazon before, and for 10 years, and something stuck with me is we have to look first at the traveler, right, and the partner, so the customers. If you focus on the customers, you will do the things right. So overlap of supply is completely fine. If we focus on the customers, you will be the one getting that precious room night that you want instead of your competitors. If you don't focus on the customers, you won't necessarily grow your business, and you will disappoint your customers. They will go to other OTAs.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I like that mentality. It seems to be working for you guys. As we're talking about the consumer and the consumer journey, I want to bring in a little bit of something we discussed yesterday. We were talking a lot about AI and technology. One of the things we talked about is like the tyranny of the search box, how customers might search differently or find stuff differently. What do you make of that kind of AI for travel planning, AI for search, and does that matter for Booking.com?
So yes, it matters. Not looking into this just for the sake of doing it, obviously, but I think all the OTAs right now are trying to figure out to crack the code of what's the best experience thanks to this. We have an AI trip planner in the US and a few other countries already where we're enabling that type of Gen AI-powered search, and this is great, right? This is something that will allow us to collect more information about the guest and better tailor the recommendation. Make sure that we have the right discoverability and matching experience then in the process. So we have this. We also have a few other things that we announced a couple of weeks ago that we're going to launch. For example, what we call the property Q&A.
Yeah.
Back to the family topic.
Yeah, of course.
Right. If you, as an example,
drifting off topic. Let's get back to the family topic.
This one, for example, if you're traveling with a small kid and you really want to know, is there a high chair or do you have a cot or is this safe? Blah blah blah. You can scroll all the reviews, or you could just ask the question. And you will get an instant answer. So instead of going back and forth with the host or trying to dig into the content on the property page, this is the kind of stuff that we'll be able to do. Same with Gen AI intent and all the information that we can collect from the guests. You can also adapt and tailor what you will actually surface on the property page. So if you're looking, you're looking for a barbecue, and it's one of the many filters that appear somewhere, and you have to scroll down twice to be able to find that filter. With that, we can collect that and surface that right at the top, even in the search card or in the property page. So these are the things that we're trying to do to capture the uniqueness of the property and better match what we know the guests are looking for.
Which gets you even more targeted towards those segments, which helps you kind of sell to that, not the many faces of that family travel and many other markets.
Exactly, yes.
Here's an audience question that I like. Guests on Booking.com are assuming they're booking with a pro. How do you make sure the guest understands they're booking with an individual or something like that? Like, is this something that concerns you as you move away from some of those more professional property managers? It
was a concern. I remember when I joined 2018, that was a topic, right? Like, this is also why we one of the pieces of feedback, to call it that way, was your hotel platform, right? So I think it's less so now because we've tried, as mentioned, to de-authorize the experience, meaning that we've been trying to make sure that it is very clear who you're booking with. One funny thing is, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we ran some research within our own customers, and some customers who had booked a home with us didn't know we had homes. So I think 7% of people who had booked an apartment with us didn't know we were offering apartments.
Oh my God.
So they were used to this, and the experience was good, probably, but still there was something wrong about how we were surfacing this.
That's
so now
right.
it's very clear. At the top, you can even mention at the very beginning of the search, I want an entire place. So we're trying to make sure that it's clear to everyone in our marketing, on-site, off-site, any message that this is a home that you're going to book, especially when it comes to when this is your first booking in a vacation rental. We need to make sure that, okay, you've been used to hotels 24/7, reception desk, etc. This is not going to happen there, but this is what you will get in return.
Do you recommend different short-term rentals for first-time short-term rental users than for repeat short-term rental users, or is that too complicated?
The algorithm will pick that up, right? Some properties will show up based on what we think the customers will like. So probably we're not going to proactively try to say, oh, these ones are the ones that are better suited for hotel customers. But by expressing the choices, by looking at the navigation history and all these different things, where the customers are clicking, what they seem to like, etc., the algorithm will learn and will resurface the right properties for them.
And then just going back, I guess, a little bit, one question back, where you were talking about a little bit about transparency, about guests, making sure guests know what they book. Did they even book a short-term rental or hotel? On the transparency side, I think the junk fees, cleaning fees, booking fees things is a big deal. What is your platform's stance on that sort of stuff?
So I mentioned that there are two things that we've been always focused on. Instant book, that one we are changing a bit, but we'll go back to it. The second one was no hidden fees. So that's a foundation. We've never had a booking fee or any other type of fees for the guest that create a bad surprise. And this is something that we'll continue doing. So I think that's also one of the reasons from research that we see customers going and coming back to booking.com is no hidden fees. So they know already from the get-go that there won't be a booking fee. And on top of that, we're trying to make sure that it's very clear what you're going to pay for, etc. So price transparency is very key in the experience that we provide. It's there for hotels as well. So if you are booking a vacation rental with us, you have to get the same transparency.
I like this audience question. What's your playbook for tackling U.S. short-term rental supply as Airbnb is pushed into the international market? How do you feel about your position there, especially in EMEA? I might also reframe that a little bit, saying, like, how is your U.S. strategy look different than your EMEA strategy? Is it different? And do you worry about competitors, as you expand into maybe the U.S. home turf, do you worry about competitors eating your lunch in Europe?
So is the playbook different? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we know that it's not our home turf, so we need to adapt better, and we've been on that journey for a few years. But at the same time, we know that we just need to be more US-centric in the way we develop our products. So we are US first, actually, in everything we do. If it works for a US partner or US traveler, we will do that first. If it doesn't, okay, we'll go back to the drawing board, and then we'll see, once we get that right, how to scale that to the rest. So our playbook is slightly different in the sense also that we had to consider a request to book. Right? It came up because we saw, okay, there's this thing that we want to do. This is our growth ambition in the US, and we're not getting there. So a lot of things on the payment side of things, reassurance products, liability insurance, damage policy, all these different things that we've launched over the past 2-3 years that we didn't have on the plans before, but we did it for the US. So I think the US and the US travelers and partners are really guiding the way we are drafting our roadmaps right now and developing our product. With regards to by the way, also marketing. On the marketing side, Idris Elba, Super Bowl ad, and all of the things, recently Tina Fey as well. You can see the investment we're making, and we're putting more and more homes front and center in our communication, because we know that from an awareness standpoint, we're not in the US where we are in other markets, specifically in Europe.
Is that leading to discounting, needing to have more awareness in the United States? Does that create discounting and promotions?
No, we have the same kind of policy around discounting and promotion everywhere, the same type of products. Again, US first. So if it works for the US, it works for the rest. But this is not really where we're trying to differentiate a lot. And EMEA, I think, again, if we're continuing to do what we think is right for the travelers, the partners, it should allow us to continue to grow nicely in the European region.
And final question, as a French person, are you excited for the Olympics?
I will pass on that question so that I can keep my passport. But yeah, I'm a Parisian, and I will only spend 3 days in Paris this summer, so that answers it, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for joining and telling us all about the Booking.com platform.
Thank you.